All right, let's start our discussion. Today we'll celebrate the feminine nature and talk about the feminine character. We'll dispel the myth that some women have a masculine character, all women have a feminine character. A woman is born to be a woman. Some women don't understand how the feminine character works, so they think they have a masculine one. The soul has three aspects of consciousness. The first aspect is eternity. This is common to everyone. Everyone wants to live forever. No one wants to die. The second aspect of the soul's consciousness is knowledge. People need knowledge. The third aspect is love. The soul craves love. As the song says, to live without love, people cannot. An hour without love is a lost hour. We feel good when we love, even if we are not loved in return. A girl deeply needs knowledge. Girls listen to lectures and become captivated. They want so badly to gain knowledge. They deeply crave it, but a woman isn't born specifically for knowledge. She is born for love and expects to receive knowledge from men or other people. A woman wants to live in an atmosphere of love. She needs love. A little girl, even when she's just born, already starts grooming herself, speaking tenderly to everyone, looking for jewelry. Even though she's very young, maybe just 2 years old, she behaves this way. Why? Because she was born for love. She is not born for knowledge. Boys don't groom themselves. A woman's psyche is designed to feel comfortable in the energy of love. When a little girl's mother kisses her on the cheek, she turns the other cheek and says, "Now kiss me here and here." A woman feels very comfortable in the energy of love. She feels good living within that energy. When a mother kisses her little boy, he may need love, but he feels uncomfortable. He lacks the strength to process it. It's hard for him. In other words, we are born differently. It's interesting to know that our physiologists and biologists say everything depends on chromosomes and sperm. If the chromosomes align one way, a boy is born. If another way, a girl. Thinking it's all about chromosomes is a very primitive view. The Vedas explain that the soul first connects on a subtle level with the sperm and then moves to the egg. The soul already knows if it wants to live in love or knowledge. A male birth is meant for knowledge, while a female birth is meant for love. The soul knows in advance whether it wants to be born as a woman or a man. There are no random connections. The soul will choose exactly what it wants. A soul that has lived in a male body, worked hard, and become tired will seek happiness and thus choose a female birth. This means it will receive a female body. Or if a woman has spent her life thinking, "I'm missing knowledge. Life feels so hard. Everything seems fine, but I don't understand what's going on. I want to figure it out," she will receive a male birth. If a woman in a female body thinks, "Everything is fine, I just want love," she will receive another female body. If a man thinks, "I haven't learned enough, I need to know more," he'll have a male birth again. When a little boy is born, if he behaves like a girl, whining and constantly being fussy, it means he was a woman in his previous life. He hasn't yet adjusted. His last birth was as a woman. If a boy is born and immediately starts hitting everyone, showing no weakness or fear, it means he was a man in his previous life. His next life will also likely be as a man. If a girl is born tender, affectionate, and kind to everyone from a young age, it means she was a woman in her previous life. If she fights with everyone, it means she was a man. Sooner or later, even if a girl is combative, she will gradually become feminine as she gets used to her female body. A boy who is fussy will also gradually become masculine as his soul adjusts to his male body. This is how human development progresses. It's interesting to note that as men grow older, they often become very gentle and obedient. Meanwhile, women start getting involved in everything, trying to control and solve things everywhere. Old ladies are a special form of life. They try to control everything. Such elderly women in their next life will be reborn as men. They are already preparing themselves for a male incarnation. Meanwhile, elderly men, who are gentle and soft like God's dandelions, will be reborn as women in their next life. Would you like to hear about the possibilities? All right, let's discuss the possibilities. If a person strives for self-improvement and behaves properly, they are reborn in a female body with a perfect feminine character and desires. Similarly, a man who lived righteously in his previous life, whether in a male or female body, is reborn in a male body with a perfected masculine character and desires. Of course, they may not be completely perfect, but striving for perfection. If a person lived incorrectly throughout their life, let's say, if a woman lived incorrectly all her life, she loses good feminine qualities. As a result, she becomes weak as a woman. What does this weakness entail? she becomes capricious, overly sensitive, irritable, unhealthy, feeble, indecisive, and depressive. She begins to experience feminine sexual disorders in the form of severe pain during sexual relations and so on. In her next life, she is reborn as a weakened woman. This marks the first stage of personal degradation, having feminine traits, but being overly sensitive and frail. When a man doesn't work on himself throughout his life and is born in a male body, what does he become? A man weakened in his masculinity, angry, irritable, stubborn, power-hungry, overly preoccupied with sex, reckless, and prone to expressing the negative sides of masculinity. The more pronounced a woman's natural feminine shortcomings are, the more she seeks masculine traits to compensate for the imbalance. When she cannot achieve balance, this affects her next life. In the next life, if she has not worked on herself, she is reborn as a woman but with masculine flaws, manifesting as strong-willed, assertive traits. She wanted to embrace her femininity but was drawn toward masculinity. Since she did not resolve her feminine karma, she is reborn again as a woman but with masculine qualities. She becomes assertive, hardworking, and adopts a tough, business-like style, a woman with masculine virtues. A man with strong masculine flaws, such as anger, lacks feminine balance. As a result, he becomes excessively lustful because, when unbalanced as a man, he is strongly drawn to women. In his next life, he is reborn in a male body but with feminine traits: sensitive, weak-willed, lazy, inclined toward art, enjoys cooking, prefers staying at home, and dislikes working. Should we continue discussing the next incarnation? Is it necessary? A woman asked about the possibilities, so here they are. When someone refuses to work on themselves even in this life, a man is born in the next life incapable of processing feminine energy. He cannot handle women and experiences a transformation in his personality, becoming drawn to men. He desires to find happiness with men. Similarly, a woman unable to process masculine energy in her next life cannot be around men because their energy overwhelms her. She develops sexual attraction to women. These are not just different possibilities, but a degradation of personality. There is another stage of personal degradation. When a person finds no satisfaction in human relationships, they begin seeking sexual relationships with animals. At the transitional stage, they may seek such relationships with children or the elderly. Should I continue describing the possibilities? Is this enough? The higher options. This means a man becomes divine in his masculinity. First, a man cultivates excellent masculine qualities within himself. He develops as a man, and then his positive feminine traits emerge. A man becomes courageous, strong, resilient, and decisive. When all masculine qualities are fully developed, he also becomes kind, gentle, tender, and compassionate. Such a man gains admirable feminine qualities as well. A woman who evolves similarly becomes wise, brave, and hardworking, with her feminine qualities refined and perfected. Such a person is called a holy person, whether man or woman. That's why a woman can also be a mentor. A fully developed woman possesses all the best qualities, both masculine and feminine, but resides in a female body because her ultimate purpose is love. She will still behave as a woman, loving and caring, but with strong willpower and a resilient character. Are you satisfied, young lady? I have told you about both sides. Development is infinite in nature. I will not delve further into the subject of growth. There are beings higher than humans, such as angels, living entities more advanced than humans. Development is infinite by nature. Degradation is also infinite in its nature. Let us, however, return to the topic of women and their birth. Being born a woman does not automatically mean possessing all these qualities. The soul, by its essence, is simply a soul. It can take a female or male birth. One must understand that the feminine essence is not tied to a person, but is connected to God. The feminine nature is divine. God has both a feminine and masculine aspect. The same Lord is divided into two parts, female and male. The feminine part is manifested in women all over the world. Therefore, women should be respected as embodying something divine. The divine principle is in women. Some say, a hen is not a bird and a woman is not a human. That is a proverb. It must be understood that a woman is divine by nature. Women are revered as mothers. The Mother of God is worshipped, and she is revered as a saint, a divine principle. Women are venerated as the beloved of God, such as Mary Magdalene. Women are also revered as daughters of God, mother, beloved, daughter. These are feminine categories. A woman embodies all these categories, first as a daughter, then as a beloved, and later as a mother. She goes through these stages. These are divine aspects, not human ones. People utilize these divine energies, but they do not belong to women. They belong to God. A man must respect the feminine qualities in a woman. A man can never be exactly like a woman. God divided us into men and women. Women inherently possess divine qualities, and so do men. Women respect the divine essence in men, and men do the same for women. When this mutual respect exists, everyone is happy. Love is woven from the respect for God as reflected in another person. I respect the divine quality in a woman. However, a woman also has human traits. How do human traits manifest in a woman? Through fussiness, anxiety, sensitivity to offense, excessive demands, strong attachments, and unstable thinking. These are the human traits evident in women. When a soul is born as a woman, these flaws naturally appear. Yet, women possess divine qualities: kindness, simplicity, tenderness, beauty, purity, compassion, and care. It's easier for a woman to express these because God endowed her with them. When I say easier, I mean in comparison to men. A woman is inherently designed to serve her loved ones with ease. Of course, this doesn't mean it's effortless for her. She tires from serving others, faces challenges like anyone else, but for a man, it's far more difficult. He is not built for it. For a woman, mopping the floor, cleaning under furniture, and wiping every detail is simple. Her perception is fine-tuned to notice every detail. Her mind is structured to see and understand things comprehensively. She looks at Dr. Torsunov and thinks, his hair is like this, eyes like that, glasses like this. She sees everything. If you ask a man about Dr. Torsunov's glasses, he wouldn't know. For him, what matters is what he's saying. Everything else doesn't interest him. A woman sees everything, all details. Who's sitting in the hall? Who came? She sees everything, knows everything. Similarly, she washes the floor, cleaning everything in detail. A man can't clean like that. He would go crazy. He can only clean in stripes down the middle. Where the cloth touched, that's fate. Where it didn't, that's not fate. Am I right? Yes, I am. He doesn't worry and doesn't strive for cleanliness. His nature is about victory. The main thing is to wash the floor. I washed it. I won. How I washed it is another question. A woman sees dust and feels unhappy. She thinks, I can't live with this dust here, and cleans. A man can live with the dust peacefully. It doesn't bother him. A woman wonders, don't you see it's dusty here? He thinks, I should say I see it, and replies, I see it, I see it. But in truth he doesn't, because it's not his purpose in life. When a man walks from the bathroom to his office, he sees only the office. He doesn't notice what happens along the way. When a woman walks from the bathroom to the kitchen, she notices everything on the way, cleans it up, and organizes it. For her, the goal isn't just to reach the kitchen, it's to bring harmony to everything along the way. A man has a concrete goal, to reach the office oblivious to what happens en route. His wife might ask, didn't you notice me when you passed by? He answers, no. We are completely different, men and women. Even when listening to lectures, our approaches differ. A woman attending a lecture for the first time observes and thinks, right or wrong, right or wrong. She concludes, if it's right, I must listen, and immerses herself deeper into the sound. A man attending for the first time thinks, is this guy a fool or not? A fool or not? He scrutinizes, asking himself, who is this guy anyway? First time ever, yes there. A man listens thinking, is he a fool or not? Is he a fool or not? He observes first, thinks, what kind of guy is this anyway? Let's say he decides that it's normal. His wife asks, did you like the lecture? He says, I don't know, we'll see tomorrow. The next day he watches and thinks, I know this, we'll figure that out. When his wife asks next time, when he's already decided that he's interested, he says, I know all this and we'll figure out that part. The wife shouldn't be upset or ask, what do you know? That's just how a man's psyche works. For him, the world is a challenge to tackle. He approaches life by taking responsibility and determining if something is correct or not. A man isn't dependent on knowledge, while a woman is. A man depends on love. That's why he doesn't analyze love. Once he falls in love, he accepts it immediately. A woman analyzes love, she says as the song goes by. Perhaps you are the best in the world, but you can't tell right away. One snowflake isn't yet snowing. One raindrop isn't yet raining. A woman analyzes love, but a man falls head over heels and that's it. He only sees love. As the song goes, with a floating stride, you stepped out of paradise and disappeared from sight. He sees love and doesn't analyze it. He embraces it fully. A woman analyzes, studies, I like him, it's okay, now let's figure out what kind of person he is. She studies, observes, she navigates love, understands relationships. A girl knows from childhood. If you ask a little girl, how does dad treat mom? How does he behave? She will tell you. She understands relationships because relationships are the energy of love. Girls understand relationships. I tell my wife, I think this guy is looking at that girl. She replies, you just think so. Everyone already knows. Even though he tells me, I haven't told anyone. How does everyone already know? Why? Because women see connections in relationships. Who looks at whom, who doesn't. They see everything. Their antennas pick it up like that. They completely control the energy of love, the territory of love. They know what's happening and who is looking at whom. If someone is looking at the wrong person, they immediately inform, hey, you know who your man is looking at? She says, he's not looking. No, he is looking. Everything is under women's control. And so there is a woman's divine nature. A woman is born with her unique character traits. But this doesn't mean it's easy for her. As a man might say, you're a woman, just clean up. It doesn't mean it's simple. Let's delve into this. Why do women often escape personal life by going to work? For example, why is it easier for a woman to get a job than to get married? Although if you think about it, it's better to get married and not work because that's always an option for women. But why is it still easier for a woman to go to work than to get married?
She is afraid of a man, but she is not afraid of work.
That's right. It's more interesting at work than with a man. Look, why is it easier for a man to stay at home rather than work? He's told, you need to work, it's your duty, you're a man. And he says, yeah, but I can't seem to find a job. Why? Because it's hard for a man to find a job. Why? Because that's where his fate lies. And it's very difficult for a person to face their fate. It's hard to walk into one's fate. Similarly, a woman's destiny lies in family life, not at work. And it's very hard for her to step into that, even though she is made of kindness, tenderness, gentleness, and loyalty. She is woven from these qualities. But engaging in it is very energy intensive. It requires giving all her strength. A woman relaxes at work. She enjoys and entertains herself there. And where does a man relax? At home. He comes home and lies on the couch. But a woman doesn't relax at home. She comes home and starts working there. Don't complain, it will feel embarrassing by the end of the lecture. So, my dear ones, understand this. If you're not fulfilling your duties, blame yourself. A woman is not obligated to overwork herself. If she overworks herself, there's only one reason, an excessive desire for money. She can simply accept her husband's destiny and live on what he earns. No problem, but she doesn't want to accept it. Or maybe the husband demands it, but that's another matter. So there are reasons why women still go to work, right? But what do they gain from this? That's the question. If work is just entertainment for them, then they gain rest as they wanted. But if they are surviving at work, there's only one reason. They don't have a husband. And why don't they have a husband? Because they didn't invest in their personal life, didn't fulfill their feminine duties. There are feminine duties, and when a woman fulfills them, she becomes strong and beautiful as a woman.
What if age doesn't allow it?
Then there are parents. They understand this, they help and care usually. Everything in this world is arranged. If a girl is young, her parents care for her. When she grows older, her husband will. When she becomes elderly, her children will. A woman will always be cared for because she is born for happiness, comfort, peace, tenderness, love, and relationships. You know, there are feminine duties in society that no one else will fulfill. For example, raising children. Is teaching children work or not work? The best option in society is when children are taught not as a job, but as a service, and the state provides support to those who serve. There are many types of service: caring for the elderly, children, nature, the neighborhood, ensuring good relationships between people, mediating, and so on. There are so many feminine tasks in society, and when women do these, society becomes beautiful, prosperous, gentle, and it becomes pleasant to live in such a place, understand? But if society doesn't understand that a woman shouldn't work, but should serve society and care for it, then women start working. And since there's no understanding of where and how to work, women start working in spheres where women shouldn't be at all. There is a feminine sphere of activity, even just sitting on the phone. Hello, I'm listening. This is a feminine sphere of activity. But if she became a tank driver, that's not feminine. Or if she's boxing, doing boxing. Why? This is not feminine nature. Why were you born in a woman's body if you're going to box? Be born in a man's body instead. Boxing is for men. When they get hit, they don't even feel it. But for a woman, being hit is deeply hurtful. For men, it's not. They just get warmed up by it. They have a male body that's not sensitive to pain. A man often doesn't even feel when he's hit. But a woman can't help but feel when she's been hit. She experiences very strong hurt from this. That's why there are women's duties, women's activities, women's life. A woman should choose a woman's life to begin with. Now you'll say, how to choose when I'm already working, I'm tired, I can't get married. For this, you need to understand the principle of life in general, how a woman's psyche is structured. It's like a river. Wherever you direct your thoughts, that's where it flows, and therefore it's very difficult to redirect your thoughts. Let's say I'm flowing towards work. A girl asks me, Dr. Torsunov, I understand that I need to get married, but tell me, where should I work? I reply, you need to think less about that, focus on marriage. She says, well, I understand that I need to think about marriage, but where should I work? Just tell me, I want to find a job for myself. I say, as long as you keep thinking this way, you won't be able to get married. She responds, why won't I be able to? I want to work. You understand? I also want to get married, but I want to work. You see, wherever a woman's psyche flows, that's what will happen. If she wants to work, she will work. If she decides to get married, she will also work, but she won't invest her consciousness into it. A woman is a being who becomes what she invests in. If she invests in marriage, she becomes attractive. If she invests in work, she becomes a businesswoman. In other words, a woman transforms depending on where she invests. If she invests in children, she becomes a mother. People don't see her as a beloved woman, they see her as a mother and respect her for that. She changes greatly depending on where she invests. A woman's consciousness transforms strongly because it is woven from these energies. Look at a man's life. A man is woven from actions, while a woman is woven from influencing actions. A man must act, and when a woman acts herself, she doesn't enjoy it. But if she influences something, she enjoys it. She is made of influence. For example, a woman doesn't want to confess her love outright. She just makes sure that he confesses instead. That's the influence. She is woven from influence. Female energy strongly controls this world. A woman can curse or bless. She influences everything. Female energy influences everything. It's very powerful in this world. But if a woman begins to act herself, instead of influencing, she loses herself and becomes unhappy. For example, let's say a girl needs to wake up early, just like a man, to be happy. There are two options. Or she can force herself to get up early and then spend the entire day thinking, I don't like living like this, forcing myself. Or she can call a friend and say, let's wake up early tomorrow, let's do it. And then she doesn't force herself. She simply gets up because it would be awkward not to. After all, they agreed to do it. So she gets up early and feels good about it, thinking, it's great that we agreed to wake up early. Now a man says in the evening, listen, let's wake up early tomorrow according to the lectures. All right, let's do it. The next morning, neither of them gets up. Why? Because men can't really negotiate like that. If he didn't wake up, so what? A man is motivated by his own willpower. He decides to wake up early and tells his friend, I'm waking up early tomorrow. And the friend does it too. I woke up, did you? Yes, and I woke up even earlier. You understand? Well done. Men are motivated by victory. They need to win. They can't simply obey. If someone tells them, will you wake up tomorrow? Wake up early tomorrow? They think, am I taking orders from you now? What if I wake up? Will you wake up? We'll see. And he wakes up even earlier. That means that a man is motivated by his own victory. When a woman forces herself, she suffers and doesn't feel joy. Women need inspiration, not force, and they get inspired together with other women. That's why women have collective intelligence, while men have individual intelligence. How should women walk? Yes, in groups, the more girls the better, and all should smile together. In ancient cultures, they would form circles, all smiling and holding hands. Meanwhile, men tend to act alone. Like in the song, I'll go out to the street, look at the village, girls are walking and I'm happy. Girls are walking, that means many, not one girl. Girls are walking. And men go one by one, and when a man is alone, many girls will definitely mess with his head. But one girl, maybe not. One girl is shy, but together they smile. Look. Women's collective mindset makes them stronger. They laugh and tease together. For example, if a girl is playing in the sandbox with a boy and the boy offends her, she doesn't fight him. Instead, she goes to complain. Why? Because she has a collective mindset. She immediately gathers a group to deal with him and he quickly backs off. Why? Because he doesn't have a group to protect him and no other boys will stand up for him. But the girl, everyone will protect her right away because of her collective mindset. So a girl should stay true to her nature. It makes life easier for her. A boy should remain true to his nature. For a woman to develop her character, her mind must first become calm. A woman's mind can only calm down when she lives in an atmosphere of love. Love means many kind relationships, not necessarily being married. She should care a lot about everyone, love, and then she feels very comfortable. The mind should be stable. She shouldn't think, I can't seem to stay at one job. Worked, got bored, left, worked, got bored, left. Why? Because you don't have a stable consciousness. There are two options for a woman to have a stable consciousness. First option. She gets married and immediately calms down. That's how it works. A woman's mind calms down when she gets married. This way she can stay in one job because the job is not the meaning of her life, just a respite. But if she is single and working, the job becomes her life's meaning, and she invests herself in the relationships there. That means that a woman cannot build business relationships if she doesn't have close relationships. She starts building close relationships at work and as a result gets offended by everyone because at work relationships are businesslike, not close between people, and she decided to create a family in the wrong place. She should just come to work, do her job, and go home thinking about her home life. At work, she should interact without getting too emotionally involved. She gets everything done, everyone likes her, but she doesn't stress about it. If they say, stay late, please, she will if she's single because she fears being fired. But if she's married, she has no fear. She thinks, that's my husband's problem if I get fired. Why should I worry? Let him work harder. And she says, fire me if you want. I'm going home. I have a small child. Then the employer thinks, I won't fire her. I'll ask the single woman to work late since she has no children and is afraid. Later, the single woman resents being made to stay late, while the married woman doesn't. Women have a collective mindset. If one woman gets a special privilege, all the others want it too. For example, if I give one woman a flower, the others will feel offended because there's only one flower. This is collective consciousness. Women can't accept one being favored over the others. So, let's start from the beginning. You ask, how do I develop my character? Remember, it's impossible to develop character if you're not in the right environment. A woman must first calm down because her psyche is highly active. For instance, a chicken always runs around, but once it lays an egg, it calms down. A rooster, on the other hand, doesn't run at all. He stands still, gains inspiration, and exudes authority. If the hens get too restless, he crows, and they all stop and look at him. He stands there like a leader. Have you seen a chicken coop? They all suddenly quiet down. He looks around like a boss. The bird doesn't think about anything. It's just instinct. This is how nature operates, the male and female principles. The female principle is very active, always tidying up, moving around, and constantly doing something. A woman's consciousness is always shifting back and forth. However, if she is married, her psyche becomes stable and grounded internally. Alternatively, if a woman deeply cares for others, her psyche also becomes stable. In fact, a woman cannot even get married if she hasn't begun caring for others closely. If she is lonely, without friends or anyone to care for, she will never get married. It's simply impossible because such a woman isn't attractive. Therefore, a woman must first stop being isolated in society, and only then can she get married. Now let's discuss kindness, simplicity, gentleness, and beauty. All human qualities develop only through service. Some women think, I want to be kind, I'll speak kindly now. But this is just pretending to be kind. It's a role, a game of acting like a kind person. I've decided to be kind, so I'll play the part of a kind person. However, the moment something doesn't go her way, she stops pretending and becomes angry. How does one truly become kind? When a woman starts caring for others. She cares and takes action. At that moment, she begins to understand that people need care and support. She starts to grasp that others face difficulties too, not just herself. Because most people are very aware of their own challenges but rarely understand others, kindness arises when she begins to empathize and help those in need. Let's say a woman has cheerfulness, Joy, it is said, is a masculine quality, but it's not true. It's also a feminine quality. But how does feminine cheerfulness manifest? It manifests in blessing, in joy for what she sees. A man rejoices because he likes things, everything is cool, but a woman rejoices through love. When a woman loves something, she feels joy at that moment. A woman enjoys love. For example, how should a woman enjoy nature? She looks out the window and she doesn't think, oh, the road is bad. She thinks like in the song, we meet poppies and tulips along the way. They sway and never end. You understand? She enjoys nature and lives like that. She enjoys the sun as in the song, and in the sky there's a mischievous and radiant sun, and so on. That means that she enjoys life. Can a man enjoy life? No. A man enjoys nothing more than winning. Only victory, only victory. It's in male nature to argue. By the way, when I started arguing with my mentors, I had so much desire to tell them something, ask questions and argue. This is purely male nature. This is normal. Of course, a man enjoys nature just like a woman does. Everyone enjoys nature. But when a man enjoys nature, he relaxes. It's a rest for him. For a woman, it's not rest, it's life. As the song goes, we meet poppies and tulips along the way. They sway and never end. That means she lives it. A man is relaxed by it. But a woman, on the other hand, gets energized by it. She looks, she likes everything. She says, look at this forest. Do you like it? Yes. Let's go to the forest. That means that she enjoys it. Oh, such pretty flowers. It inspires her, she lives it. While a man looks beautiful, yes, he doesn't live by it. It just relaxed him and that's all. He says, yes, I like it here in the forest. He just lay there. It relaxed him. But she's like, oh, what lovely flowers. Running around, looking at all the flowers. We need to help them grow. Then she starts helping them. That means she cares for them. A man, yes, nice flowers. We can rest here, yes. You understand? That means that a man enjoys beauty while a woman creates it. Different attitudes. But if a woman doesn't see either poppies or tulips and sits in a train seeing only her problems, then she won't be kind. Kindness means that you need to fill yourself with something. First, a person fills themselves with kindness and then gives it away. Kindness is feminine energy. A man can also be kind, that's a fact, but it's not in his nature to be kind. Man's nature is to be victorious, strong, reasonable. Where does kindness come from? It comes from a deep understanding of a person. Does a man deeply understand a person? He can understand people, but compassion, which means to suffer together with someone, can naturally be expressed only by women. A woman sees, oh, how much pain he's in. A man, yes, he's in pain, we'll help now. That means that a man isn't against acknowledging the pain. He just says, yes, he's in pain. We'll help now. But she says, oh, it hurts so much. Don't you understand? He's in so much pain. I'm feeling sick from it. This is called compassion. This is feminine nature, compassion. Male nature is the desire to help. That means he changes everything. He says, enough, be quiet, let me help, don't interfere. That means compassion interferes with him. He needs to concentrate and help, while a woman shows compassion. Kindness means compassion. This is a feminine quality. Let's say if a woman asks a man, do you feel how much pain I'm in? He doesn't feel it, but he's ready to help. He understands. He doesn't feel, but understands how much pain you're in. A man understands. Can we say that there is male kindness? Yes, but you can't fully call it kindness. Rather, it's called a desire to help. You understand? Men have a desire to help, but kindness is a feminine quality. So if you choose who should take care of the wounded, a man or a woman? A woman. And who will operate on them? A man. That means that a man wants to help. He wants the wounded to recover. And who wants to make them happy? A woman. That means that she cares, looks after and makes sure that a person is happy. It's feminine nature. It's divine. Male nature is also divine. The desire to help, to fix the situation is also a divine thing. And the desire to care, to make sure that a person feels good, that they're not in pain. It's not important for a man whether it hurts or not. The main thing is that the person gets cured. But for a woman, it's important that a person isn't in pain. And that's why a woman takes care of small children. Because small children are very sensitive. She doesn't trust a man. She says, here, hold them. Well, she trusts to some degree but prefers to control the situation completely herself, because a man often doesn't understand. He doesn't see that a child is sick or hungry. She reacts immediately, she feels it right away because a woman is very sensitive to people. She understands them. Now you'll say, I want to be kind. But you are all already kind. You just need to set yourself up right. It's one thing to ride on a train and just think about your own things, and another thing to see poppies, tulips, the sun, that is mischievous and radiant, and you want to touch it with your hand. It's right there, but you can't reach it. That means that she already wants to build a relationship with the sun. That's how the female psyche is structured. She sees this world very colorfully, and you just need to maintain your feminine nature. A woman already has everything. She doesn't need to develop all this. To maintain means to do, to serve. But to serve, you need internal motivation. Therefore, women should strongly maintain relationships with other women. For example, if women ask me how to develop kindness, you don't need to develop kindness, but rather be friends with more women, and then you'll be kind, because you'll have the strength for it. Because other women will support you. Let's go to the orphanage, let's help. A woman wants to help by herself, doesn't she? But she won't go alone because she's shy. It's hard for her to go alone. She doesn't have the strength for it. But if they go as a group of 10, no problem. So she can go to any orphanage together with 10 women, no problem. Alone, it's difficult. Why? Because a woman's willpower is not as strong, but she has collective intelligence. She needs to act together with someone. Let's say they decided to help a friend. Let's say a friend got sick. What does a woman do first? She calls other women so they can all help together. And what does a man do? He helps immediately by himself. He goes and helps if someone is in trouble. He doesn't call anyone. But a woman immediately creates an atmosphere. That means she calls, everyone knows right away, everyone helps. That means they have collective intelligence, they act collectively. As the song about female kindness goes, speak kind words, extend your hand. What does male kindness consist of? Once a young guy, a multiple Olympic champion in underwater swimming, was just walking across a bridge when a bus fell from the bridge into the water. What did this guy do? He started to dive to save everyone, but he lost the ability to participate in competitions due to overexertion. He swallowed too much water, was hospitalized. However, he saved 28 people. Can you imagine? This is male kindness. That means he didn't shout, "Oh, they fell in the water." You understand? He just saved them all. That's it. This is male kindness. A woman might not have run to help. She would have started shouting, "Help!" That's it. But a man just immediately rushed to help. That means that female and male kindness work differently. Today, just before the lecture, a woman asked me a question. Dr. Torsunov, how can I be more emotional? A person cannot be more emotional because everyone's emotions are structured in a certain way. It's impossible to change this. Let's say a woman says, "I'm not feminine enough." All women are feminine. It's just that there are women involved in women's issues and there are those who are not. And the woman who doesn't do women's things is not feminine. For example, a man says, "I'm kind of weak. I can't lift a weight." You're not weak. You just don't go to the gym. Go exercise and you'll be able to lift it. You have a male body. It will become strong right away. Similarly, there are women who don't do women's stuff. There are men who don't do men's stuff. A man says, "I'm a coward." You're not a coward. You just need to go and practice. Stand in sparring. Just practice and you'll become brave. Why? Because a man just has to do men's things and a woman has to do women's things. They say, "How can I become gentle?" Just take care of others and you'll become gentle. I want to be gentle. You shouldn't want to be gentle. Gentleness is a reward. Kindness is a reward for a woman. Gentleness is a reward. I want to win the first prize. You shouldn't want the first prize. You should want to train and then you'll win. I want to jump straight to the 9th floor. You shouldn't jump to the 9th floor. You should enter the building and step on the ground floor's first step, then the second, the third, and that's how you'll reach the 9th floor without noticing. Kindness is a reward, and the opportunity to be kind comes from giving people what they need in life, and this giving people what they need is a female activity. A woman noticed, this person lacks something, and she gave it right away, and she saw gratitude from their heart. And along with gratitude, she understood human nature more deeply. When a woman starts to understand people's nature, she knows what everyone needs, and this is called kindness. So she takes care, she has experience, and knows what a child needs. For example, when a woman has a child, she also becomes kind towards other children. But before that, she may not realize it. Why does she become kind to children? Because she has already practiced. That means that she took care of a child and knows what children need in general, because she gained such experience in relationships with children. Before that, she was also a kind woman, because all women are kind by nature, every single one. It's just that some have practiced while others haven't. Now a woman says, I'm not kind at all. I don't have compassion for anyone. When someone feels bad, I don't react. If a woman thinks this way, it means she simply hasn't practiced. Because a woman is given a female body, you see a female one. Everything is already designed there for compassion. Everything is provided in the female body. The only thing that's missing is practice. And that's why people say, I want to develop kindness in myself. You shouldn't want to develop kindness. You should want to do kind deeds. You see the difference? And not want to win, just want to live this way. For example, how can you develop hospitality? Some women say, I don't like when guests come to my place. Well, all women want comfort, all women want quietness and want not to be disturbed. Isn't that true? All women want some solitude, calmness. That's how they rest. A woman rests in silence and solitude. Who said not true? And how do you rest?
Like that too, in different ways. I like being in company.
It's understandable that all women like company. 2 days ago, you were so stressed that you left and didn't want to see anyone for some time. This is called rest, remember? Yes, this is what rest means for a woman. When a woman is stressed, she rests in solitude. Now look at this logic. Some women think that they don't like when guests come because guests stress them out. Some women think this way. But in reality, this is incorrect thinking. Because a woman should simply start serving guests, inviting them, and she will realize that she really likes it. She just has never done this before. That's why she has some fear and dislike towards it. But she just hasn't done it. And she says, I don't like guests by nature. You don't dislike guests, you just have never done this before. Just practice, and you'll start loving guests just like all other women. Do you understand what I'm talking about now? Women often accuse themselves of having masculine qualities. She says, I'm rough, Dr. Torsunov. You're not rough, you're just not busy. Start taking care of everyone. You'll become gentle. When does a woman become rough? When she's not occupied. What is she doing? Let's say she's sewing blocks at work. Of course, she'll be rough because she's occupied with this. But a woman's nature is not sewing blocks at work, but to love people, take care of everyone. Every person should act according to their nature, then they will be effective. Well, is it good to hammer nails with a watch or not? No, they're not designed for that. A hammer is designed for that. Male nature, and a watch, female nature, very delicate, sensitive. Do you remember the song, We'll open the door, invite our friends, we'll start singing songs, it will become brighter for everyone, who hears us will also sing, a pure tear will fall from the sky. That means whether you want it or not, you need to do this. There are things that develop a woman, and there are things that develop a man. And if it develops a woman, but you don't like inviting people, you'll still have to do it. Start with those whom you love. You don't have to invite complete strangers. That will hurt you. Start with those whom you love. Invite, take care, feed. If a woman doesn't invite friends to her home, doesn't take care, then selfishness accumulates in the house. And then quarrels and arguments begin. When friends are invited to the house, there are fewer quarrels.
And what if a person comes who you don't really like?
Then don't invite them. Don't do it. You should invite close people only. A woman shouldn't invite strangers. Don't invite strangers. Invite only those who are close to you. A man comes by himself, right? That's what men do. If a man comes by himself, you need to tell your husband. He will say, listen, don't come to our place. It's not difficult for a man to say this. There's no problem with that. A woman should divide responsibilities. Let's say a boy misbehaved. A woman can't punish the boy by herself, or if she does it, he becomes even more aggressive. She should tell her husband and he will punish him. There are men's duties and women's duties. If she wants to punish him simply by not talking to him, that's normal. This is a woman's punishment. But if she wants to spank him, she shouldn't, because a boy becomes aggressive from this. When a woman punishes a man, he becomes aggressive. A man will never accept that a woman is stronger than him, even if it's his mother. Even a little boy will never accept it. Therefore, punishment should be left to the husband. Let him punish, it's more effective. That means that a woman needs to learn. Look how female psychology works. Female psychology switches very slowly. She needs time to set herself up for something. For example, inviting friends. She's never invited anyone before. She thinks, I will never be able to do this. Just start with those whom you love, invite them more often. Then you will love more people and gradually become hospitable. It's simply a matter of doing this action, performing this action. But women, you should never think that you can quickly adapt to something. Female psychology is not fast. It restructures very slowly. That's how nature designed it. For example, she thinks, why can't I marry this person? He's been proposing to me for a long time. If you want to marry him sooner, then start taking care of him. Start cooking for him, cleaning, doing something for him. You'll get to know him better, and then it will be easier for you to marry him. But if he's only taking care of you and you're just receiving gifts, how will you get to know him? You won't get to know him at all. You need to start doing something for him and watch his reaction. That means to take care of him. Like doing something to a person. But still, even if you take action, you won't be able to make a decision right away. Because a woman needs a lot of time to make decisions. That's how female nature works. Or let's say a woman got offended. She can forgive quickly on the surface. But deeply, she can't forgive quickly. She still has some residual feelings, but a man forgives quickly and that's it. He has no residual feelings, or he just forgives everything as if he forgot. But a woman can't forget like that. And that's why a woman says, Dr. Torsunov, I'm a grudge holder. You're not a grudge holder, you're just a woman. Women remember for a long time all the bad things that happened to them. They can't get their minds off it. That's the way their psyche works. And therefore, when a man, let's say, notices some flaw in his wife and tells her, what is wrong with you? He's very surprised because all of a woman's flaws are hidden behind beauty. She's designed this way, she behaves in such a way that it's impossible to notice the flaws, and she doesn't even see them in herself. That's the way a woman is. And when a man sees a flaw in a woman, he says, what is wrong with you? But a woman doesn't just see flaws in a man, she remembers them forever. That's why she's so surprised when he sees a flaw in her and is amazed. She pulls out the machine gun of her memory and says, and what about you? Remember what you did back then. He's like, I get it. Therefore, it's pointless to argue with a woman. She knows everything about her husband while he knows nothing about her. So how can you argue? There's nothing you can do, no way to argue. That means it is what it is. If a woman is worried, she thinks, I'm so sensitive. If you're so sensitive and constantly worried about everything, then distract yourself from yourself and just start thinking about other people's sensitivity. Start helping them, and you'll stop being sensitive. You're worried about being sensitive because you only think about yourself. It's a natural female flaw to worry about one's flaws. When a woman worries about her flaws, it means she's not busy. She just needs to occupy herself with something. You understand? Start helping someone. One student came to his mentor and said, I'm so fallen. I'm the most fallen. I'm the greatest sinner. The mentor said, you're not the most fallen. You're just fallen. That's all. Stop thinking about yourself. Go do something useful. This applies to women too. Women worry a lot about their flaws. Why do they worry about their flaws? Because these flaws don't let them be happy. Otherwise, they wouldn't worry about it. A woman wants to be happy. She was born for harmony, for happiness, and a flaw gets in the way with this harmony. That's why she worries. This is a selfish worry, not a selfless one. Therefore, a woman should catch herself in this selfish worry and simply start doing something for other people. And then she will worry less and be more occupied with useful things. There is such type of consciousness cleansing. It's called caring for others. This is a way of overcoming fate. There are several ways to overcome fate. One way is when you care for others, your fate becomes merciful to you. You forget and forgive while caring for others. The second way to overcome fate is asceticism practice. Caring is the feminine way. Giving donations, feeding people, taking care. This is the feminine way to defeat fate. Asceticism practice is the masculine way. For example, a man fasts, prays motionlessly, and so on. That's the masculine way. And a man just endures fate and overcomes it, while a woman overcomes it through helping others. She cares, takes care of everyone, and suddenly it becomes easier. Then everything passes completely. For example, a woman gets into trouble. Her husband just left. Let's say he abandoned her, betrayal. It's impossible to endure. It's very painful. What should a woman do? She should go somewhere where holy people are. For example, a monastery, and start serving there, helping in the temple. So she's at the height, at the peak of suffering. She should drop everything and go where people do good deeds. She came to the temple, washed the floor, and did something else. And when she starts caring and serving, all suffering in her heart completely disappears. This is how she defeats fate, and she becomes stronger than this situation afterward. And the third way to overcome fate is remembering God. This is done through prayer, through studying the scriptures, through listening to a mentor. A person remembers God, distracting from themselves, and defeats their fate. A woman is woven from love. That means she enjoys love. You see, a woman is woven from relationships and love. As the song goes, if you come to meet me, I won't even notice the thunder. She lives in relationships, in love, and she sees how everything in this world works. She is made for life. The Vedas say, a woman is the river of life, and a man is its banks. Who truly lives in a family? The woman lives in the family. That's why a man tries to make her happy. A wise man gives her gifts and cares for her. In this sense, a woman is like a river. When the river flows, it carries stones and everything along with it. It bubbles, it lives, it's alive. Around the river, trees and grass begin to grow. It nourishes everything with its water. A woman is like a river. She is the river of life. She gives birth to children, creates life, and sustains life. Everything depends on her mood. For example, if a woman in a household is in a bad mood, the children are in a bad mood, the dog is in a bad mood, walking around looking sad because the woman is upset, and even the cockroaches feel it. The children feel bad, the dog feels bad, even cockroaches. And then the husband comes home and absorbs all of this mood. So you see, the woman lives. She comes alive, she builds relationships, and the man must understand this. Some men envy the fact that women truly live and begin to complain, why do we always have to buy dresses for you? They envy the fact that a woman was born to live. A man can only feel happiness when his wife is content. Children also feel happiness when the woman, their mother, is content. Life revolves around the woman in this world. And a man creates the conditions. He gives the woman the ability to thrive, and then he is happy. When the wife is happy, he is happy. This is his masculine nature, to care and make his wife happy. He is selfless by nature. Is a woman selfless? A woman can serve easily. Can a man serve easily? No. She says, mop the floor. He replies, give me money. Here. A man is selfless by nature, but finds it hard to serve. As the song goes, what can I give you, my dear? I could give you this sunrise. For you, nothing is impossible. A man can give everything, but a woman, no. So men, don't spend women's money. If a woman earns money and you spend it, that's a mistake. You will regret it because it will not be forgotten. When men's money is spent, it's forgotten. But when women's money is spent, it's never forgotten. She will always feel upset about it. Women's money is very hot by nature, dangerous. And why do you push your wife to earn money? It won't bring you happiness anyway. It's better to let her inspire you, or let her earn and spend it herself. But if you try to take her money, that's dangerous, because she will never forget it. You will have forgotten long ago, but she never will. So, there is a feminine nature and a masculine nature. Some women say, I am very rough, very angry, not tender, not gentle, irritable. In other words, women blame themselves for exhibiting masculine qualities. And this supposedly means, I cannot be a woman. This is the same as when a man blames himself. I am weak, cowardly, lazy. You are not weak, cowardly, or lazy. You are simply unengaged. Right now, my sister's son is staying with me. He spends all day at the computer. It's not that he's lazy, he's just not engaged. I pulled him out of that environment, put him somewhere to work, and he started doing something. That's it. He immediately stopped being lazy. You just need to be engaged in the right activities according to your nature, and then you become activated and start developing. A woman cannot be rough. She's simply not engaged in kindness. She cannot be stingy. She's simply not engaged in service. A woman cannot be angry. She's simply not engaged in forgiving others and accepting them. For example, if someone is treating people, they cannot harbor anger because they're helping others. When you help someone, you stop being angry. So if you as a woman find some character flaw within yourself, it means you are simply not engaged. But to be engaged, you won't be able to do it on your own. For this, you need to communicate with other women in this direction. Then they will involve you. They'll say, hey, let's go help here or there. Come on, and you'll feel inspired and go along. A woman is naturally pure. A man's intellect has natural strength, but a woman's intellect is not inherently strong. Strength in the intellect means willpower, determination, bravery, and focus. This is naturally developed in men. God gave this to them. God did not give this to women. God gave women purity of intellect. This means that a woman listens with her heart and thinks, "That's right, I agree." She quickly perceives the truth, she realizes what is right, and begins living by it immediately. That's why a woman shouldn't grieve over not having the strength or determination to live correctly. She shouldn't worry about it, as it's like hammering nails with a hand watch. Why am I so indecisive? Why can't I force myself? Because your intellect is completely different. It is inspired by purity. A woman's intellect is woven from conscience. She is very conscientious. A woman is the conscience of the family. She cannot sin within the family because her conscience tells her, "Don't do this." And she strives to ensure everything is proper and righteous in life according to her conscience. This is where a woman's intellect lies. She signals danger. She tells her husband, we shouldn't do this. This is wrong. She signals saying, "This is wrong." The husband must listen because the wife is the conscience of the family. She is the heart of the husband and the conscience of the family. A woman shouldn't try to be willful, but can a person live without willpower? No. So, a woman must understand. Write this down, ladies. Remember, your willpower lies in your relationships with other women. If you have strong connections with other women and need to do something, you call your female friends and they say, "Let's do it together." They inspire you and you gain the ability to act. You can even be stronger than men. For example, if you make these calls, you can wake up early every day and pray every day. But to do this, you need to understand how a woman's intellect works. You can care for someone daily, consistently, but for this you must be inspired through your relationships with other women. If these connections with other women don't work for you, then you are helpless. For example, you live in an apartment building. If you are not familiar with your neighbors, you cannot be kind to them, and that means the neighbor's dog will keep pooping on your mat. Why? Because you will remain a stranger to them. Understand that your duty is to call your neighbors, treat them with pies, and congratulate them on holidays. For example, New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. I wish you happiness. Everyone opens their doors at that time because they know it's normal to greet strangers on New Year's Eve. After that, they become familiar with you. You need to go and greet everyone in your building for some holiday. After that, everyone will love you. And when your husband, for example, goes to work and meets a neighbor's husband, they will smile at each other because the women have built connections, and so kindness begins to live on the floor. Now imagine a thief entering the building to rob an apartment. He sees a flower pot on the windowsill, a watering can, and a cup filled with water. Then he sees candies left out on another windowsill for everyone. Or there's a note on the bulletin board at the building's entrance. "Dear residents of our building, Happy New Year." Do you think he'll decide to rob that place? Why would he? Someone would report him immediately because everyone loves each other. But if he enters a building full of chaos, where no one cares for anyone and it's dirty, he knows he can break in without anyone coming out to stop him. Do you see how, when feminine energy begins to live and thrive, it connects everything and provides protection? For instance, if you hear cries for help from neighbors upstairs but don't know them, you hesitate. You think, "Should I call? I don't know what's happening." But if you know them, you call immediately to help. Isn't that true? This is protection, women's connections and relationships. It's not just for women, but for everyone. If women live this way, there cannot be a hungry person in the building. Women know everything about everyone. They'll notice, "This person in our building is hungry." Then everyone chips in, one brings something, another brings something, and they all care for them. When people care for someone, prosperity begins in that building. The atmosphere changes. You enter that building and it feels good. Why? Because these feminine energies of kindness start to live and work there. Here's a simple example. I was in Riga giving a lecture. I noticed a plastic bottle hanging with a hole in it and sunflower seeds inside. I saw sparrows flying up to peck at the seeds. When I returned from the lecture, the seeds were still there, just as many. I thought, that's impossible. They should have finished them in 10 minutes. Then I realized someone must be refilling it. I looked, and on the first floor there was an elderly woman in the window radiating kindness. She had no one else to care for, as she lived alone, but she had the birds to love and care for. As a result, everyone around her was filled with kindness. When I saw her eyes, I felt filled with kindness and continued my day in a good mood because this woman was fulfilling her duty. She wasn't sitting around complaining that everyone had abandoned her. Instead, she remained a woman in that situation, continuing to serve and care for everyone. Of course, there are women who are truly beyond imagination, holy women. Let me share a story about the life of a holy woman. There was a woman who lived in Baku. She became acquainted with Vedic knowledge, started studying everything, and learned that in a temple in South India, there was no one to care for the altar. She was a lonely woman, so she traveled to South India. She arrived there and said, "I want to take care of this temple and this altar." They told her that this ancient temple and altar were located a kilometer uphill from the village. There was no water, no place to live, no food, and the priest only went there once a week to perform his duties. He would go up there and return, which took considerable time. She said, "I will live there." This Russian woman didn't speak Hindi or any other local language. She said, "I will live there." And she was already over 60 years old. They were surprised and said, "All right." They were astonished. She began living there. At first, she would bring water for herself, going up and down. Whoever came would donate food. She lived only on what was given to her. Over time, people began coming daily to bring her food and water. Then a wealthy person built her a small house near the temple so she could live and care for it. Later, the regional head heard about her through rumors and came to see her. He came and built a road leading up to the temple. Tourists started visiting. People began inviting her to bless weddings and give blessings for healthy childbirths. Whenever she blessed someone, everything would go well. People began seeing her as a saint. They would travel just to have her look at them. And she constantly served God, thinking of nothing else. One day, visitors found her in prostration before the altar. She had passed away in that position. Do you understand? This person simply started serving God, and all her feminine qualities blossomed fully. Although she was not considered a saint while living in Baku, when she moved and began living for God, she purified herself and became a saint. She left this world in a perfect way. To leave life in prostration before the altar means to enter the spiritual world. It means that such a person will no longer be reborn in this world. They fully conquer their destiny. I share this example to show you that it's not difficult for a woman to be heroic. All she needs to do is fulfill her duty. Caring for the altar is a natural part of a woman's nature. Women should have an altar at home and care for it, clean it, read scriptures before it, and offer food to it. When God enters the home, he begins living there. God exists within every person. The Vedas' teachings explain that within the human body is the soul, that's you, and also the oversoul, which is God. The oversoul, or the Lord within our body, is the same for everyone. Just as the sun is the same for all, the Lord lives within everyone's body. He fulfills all functions. For example, we eat, swallow food, and don't know what happens next. At some point, we feel the need to use the restroom. We are unaware of what happens in between. We eat, and something happens. Billions of cells are nourished synchronously, each in its own way. There's an entire deep system of control. Who oversees this? People say it happens automatically. It cannot happen automatically. There is intelligence overseeing it. That intelligence is the Lord, and he also acts as the conscience. Who among you asked me questions yesterday and I answered them immediately? Raise your hands.
There's one question you didn't answer.
One wasn't answered. Well, you see, it wasn't me who answered. It was God who answered. You see, when a mentor speaks kindly, the Lord begins to act. I can't see all your thoughts. I can answer them. It's the Lord acting through me. If I appeared in someone's dream and told them what to do, it wasn't me. God simply takes the form of a senior. He himself doesn't show himself to us. We are not worthy. So everything begins with God. If a woman wants to become feminine, she must understand that femininity is not her inherent nature. It's not her personal nature to be a woman. It's the divine manifesting within her. If a person begins to serve God, establishes an altar, cooks with prayer, in her own faith, of course, not someone else's. Whatever faith you have, you don't need to change it. Just start living this way. And then what happens? A woman becomes feminine because God begins to manifest within her. How does God reveal himself in a woman? Does he give her a sword and shield? A shield. Does she become brave, saying, "Forward, comrades"? No. When God manifests in a woman, what does she become? Beautiful, kind, gentle, caring, pure, conscientious, compassionate, intuitive. She can sense events ahead. That's the feminine nature. All of this is divine revealing itself in her, not something that she is on her own. For example, in a man, why does masculinity attract women so much? Why? Because it's a divine quality in a man. God endows him with this strength. For instance, does beauty belong to a woman? No. Sometimes it's there, and sometimes it's not. A young girl is beautiful, and then suddenly her beauty fades. People used to notice her, and now they don't. But if she serves God, the beauty doesn't leave her. It moves inward. For instance, her face ages. It's no longer as attractive, but the woman remains beautiful. Why? Because she is spiritually rich, connected with God. A man, for example, who fights for his faith, will he be braver? Of course he will. But we need to understand something. Nothing can be changed. A woman is born for feminine happiness and a man for masculine happiness. Don't strive for someone else's happiness. What is a woman's happiness? Do you understand? That's feminine nature. Dr. Torsunov, I want to go to college. Well, go to college, that's fine. I want to, but I don't know where. But that's not feminine nature, to go to college and not know where. Maybe you don't actually want the right thing. You need to want what's yours. I want to laugh and to love. I want to be loved. Of course, a person should be educated. That's a fact. Both women and men should study in college. It's perfectly fine. Women naturally love to learn. But why does a woman study?
To raise children.
She studies to live. That's why women study. For example, all the women here are listening to the lecture. They're listening so they can live. They need this knowledge for life. Why do men study? For victory. Men study for victory. They need to overcome fate, while women need to live. Should women study to earn money?
A little. Where's the golden middle ground?
Yes, I'll explain now. There are people of different strengths in life. Some are natural leaders. We once had a TV program in Moscow. There were two teams. One team was called I Don't Want to Study, I Want to Marry, and the other team was I Don't Want to Marry, I Want to Study. They were debating where the truth lies, marry first or study first. I was one of the experts there, along with a woman who headed the committee of mothers with many children in Russia. She said she got married first. And once she was married, she felt very stable and began excelling in her studies at university. Later, she took on leadership roles. You understand? There are women who are very strong personalities. There are societal roles for women. No one denies that. There are women leaders, even presidents. But a woman who is a leader in society but unmarried cannot be strong as a person. She will constantly waver, lacking stability. And so this woman said, for me, family always came first. That doesn't mean I'm not a patriot. I've always relied on my family in life. When things were hard, I sought advice from my relatives, my close ones. You understand? She relied on her family. When a woman leans on her family, she becomes strong and can achieve a lot as a politician, even as the president of a country. No one denies this. She simply has a foundation. A man, however, relies on his ability to win. Ultimately, everyone relies on God. For a man, it's God first, then his ability to win, and then his family. Like in the song, first of all, planes and women come later. A man must live this way. If women come first for him, what does he become? A womanizer. And such a man is of no use to anyone. You understand? For a man, planes, that is victories, must come first, and personal life second. That's why a man develops himself first. He becomes accomplished, then he turns to personal life. A woman, on the other hand, should start with her personal life and then develop herself. If she develops herself first, she'll end up with a scenario she didn't expect. An accomplished woman no longer needs a man. She has her own money. Why would she need a man? She has her own apartment. Why would she need a man? She has her own car. Why would she need a man? She doesn't depend on a man. So when she meets a man, what kind of man does she look for? One who is tender, kind, caring. Who does she find? A man? No, she finds herself a cream puff. Men go through 3 stages of development. The first stage is called the cream puff. The second stage of a man's development is when he becomes tense. He becomes a hard worker. The tense stage, overworked, pulling everything, arguing, fighting, breaking down, and getting nervous. And the third stage of a man's development is the wise man. For women, the first stage of proper development is God's dandelion. What's the second stage of development for women? A wife with children, etc. And the third stage of development is motherhood. What's improper development for a man? The first stage isn't cream puff. What is it? A womanizer. What's the second stage of improper development for a womanizer? An alcoholic. And the third stage? The third stage, simply a beggar, a vagabond. Do you understand, ladies, or not? So, of course, women should study and they should have jobs. That's all normal. But if a woman places this above family, then she ends up finding what kind of husband? An underdeveloped one? He might be a good person, but he's not developed. Why? Because he marries her for protection, not for love. He doesn't marry for love, he marries for security. He has no apartment, but she does. It's great, isn't it, to have a girlfriend with an apartment, a car, and a job? It's great, isn't it? The women are silent. They don't know if it's great or not. The women say, no, it's not great, but you decided this yourselves. You decided yourselves that this is how it should be. Do you think a man will refuse? Why would he refuse what's being handed to him? But understand, when a man sees that a woman has already done everything herself, will he exert himself? No, a man only has two ways of living, lazing around or going to battle. Understand? If the woman is battling, why should the man battle? He lays around. She says, there's nothing to eat. You're not working. I'm earning all the money. And he says, yeah. Why? Well, keep earning. He's a guy. He's not bothered. It's already good, so why worry?
What about a civil marriage?
There's no such thing as a civil marriage. There are just underdeveloped relationships. There's also a guest marriage, right? That also means underdeveloped relationships. As relationships develop, people first take responsibility for each other through relatives. That's called registration. And then they pledge before God. That's called a church wedding. The most developed family is one that's married in a church. They've even pledged before God. But underdeveloped ones say, we guarantee each other we'll stay together. Why register? But people can't guarantee anything on their own. When life gets tough, a person loses control. Then society controls them. And if society doesn't, then God will. One young man prayed for God to protect him from women. He was deeply attached to women, going to brothels, enjoying himself, but then became a monk. He preached on the streets and suddenly found himself back in the place where he used to visit brothels. A familiar woman walked out, smiled at him and said, "Oh." She says, "We haven't seen you for a long time. You're dressed strangely. Come on in." As he crosses the street, a car with monks pulls up. They say, "Get in, we're heading back to the monastery." So he didn't make it. It turned out his time for preaching was up. In other words, God saved him. You understand? He would have gone there, and that would have been the end of it, but he didn't. Then, as he sat in the car, he started reflecting on what had happened. At one moment, it was as if his mind snapped. This is what is called God's protection. When people are married in a religious ceremony, they trust God will help them and activate this option. We always have a choice, but the option for God's protection is there. Your conscience will kick in at some point. You'll feel you're in the wrong. Or, for instance, if someone has signed marriage papers but is planning a divorce, their parents might call and say, "What are you doing? You're married. You're husband and wife. What's wrong with you?" This option activates. Whether the person responds is another question. But if the couple isn't officially married, who will protect them? They're told, "You're just living together and that's it. There are no commitments to protect. If you want to stay, you stay. If you don't, you leave. That's the agreement you made." But such arrangements don't really exist, my dear ones, because God creates families. He's the one who ties people together. We can't hold on to each other ourselves. A person might try to leave their partner and say, "I don't know why I can't leave you. Why are you holding me?" And the partner replies, "I'm not holding you. Go ahead." People can't hold on to each other. These threads between hearts are maintained by God. He's the one who binds people together. That's why we don't have a choice about whether to officially marry or not. We must not let God down. We must promise him, "If you give me a person, I'll keep my word. If you give me a person, I'll stay by their side." One woman raised her hand and said, "Dr. Torsunov, why isn't God giving me a man?" I said, "What did you do with the last one?" She said, "Well, forgive me, Dr. Torsunov, I left him." I said, "That's why. God has plenty of men, but he feels sorry for them, so he's not giving you one." She asked, "What should I do?" I said, "You need to repent first." She said, "I repent." I asked, "What about the man you left? Is he still waiting for you?" She said, "Yes, he is, and he doesn't want anyone else but me." I said, "Then you don't even need to repent. You have no chance of a new relationship. You must go back to him." That's how this world works.
What if you leave your husband later?
Later? What do you mean?
Does this only apply to husbands?
If you leave your husband, it will be even worse. To avoid leaving, don't focus too much on each other. When people dive too deeply into each other, their relationship fills with pain. People immerse themselves in one another because they crave happiness from each other, and they become angry and unpleasant. That's why there are rules for living to avoid becoming bitter. These rules are written in sacred scriptures. A person must be distracted from their partner and strive to serve everyone around them. If you do this, you'll preserve your family and be happy for life. Do you understand the system? Embrace the whole world with your love. Distract yourself from your family, your husband, and your children. Start caring for everyone, and your family's selfishness won't destroy your life. When people focus too much on each other, they become exhausted and start arguing and getting angry. They live in this tiny, closed-off world and destroy it because a closed system cannot sustain itself. Embrace the whole world with your love, receive love from everywhere, and bring it home. Help other people around, take care of everyone. How to develop intuition, women ask. How to feel everything correctly? I feel everything, but not correctly. How to feel correctly? The first thing to understand is that a woman feels correctly when she is pure. Purity for a woman means not thinking about other men. Purity for a woman also means keeping her body clean and tidy. Keep the body clean, do not think about other men, and pray every day. Cook with prayer, do laundry with prayer, clean with prayer, and you'll become pure inside. You'll begin to perceive the world purely. Purity gives the ability to sense danger. And the second rule is not to allow yourself to worry. When a woman starts to worry, she loses her purity. She becomes exhausted and unhappy. A woman's worry is merely the laziness of the soul, the laziness of the female heart. Why does a woman worry? Because she can no longer give her energy, but still gives it. For example, who among you has a sick child but doesn't worry? Raise your hand. This means you have enough strength to heal them. This means their fate is not too heavy. Who among you has a sick child and you worry? Raise your hands. This means you don't have enough strength to heal them. It means fate is heavier, and it means that you are being lazy in your soul, because when a woman starts to worry, it's not compassion. It's just laziness or ignorance. You should know that worrying should be replaced with remembrance of God or good deeds. For example, if you can't pray in a way to forget about the situation and think about those who pray together with them and thus overcome your fate, then go somewhere and help someone. And tell yourself, I'm doing this for my son. And then you will be able to help him. There are 3 types of help in this world, only 3. The first type is prayer. When you distract yourself from thinking about him and think about God, at this time, as soon as you're distracted from your son, God begins to help him. The second type of help is taking care of other people. This type of help softens problems. If thoughts about God destroy the bad fate of your son, then caring for people softens it. That means that fate becomes less severe, better. And the third type of help is called asceticism practice. The first type of help removes evil fate, the second softens it, and the third gives a person the ability to overcome this fate. And different methods are always needed. For example, if a son is fighting in a war, we cannot remove this fate. He fights, and nothing can be done about it. You have to make him strong. Then the woman starts fasting, performing asceticism practice. She says, I'm fasting so that my son stays alive. And she feels better. She fasts and feels, that's it, I worry less. This means she is winning. Or she thinks, I will make it so that the bullet doesn't touch him. Then she needs to make donations to soften the fate, to prevent injuries. She starts giving food to the poor, feeding everyone, taking care of everyone. And then the bullet can't harm him anymore. She feels calm in her heart. Do you understand the idea? That worrying doesn't make a woman insightful. She becomes dull in relation to fate. She no longer understands whether things will be good or bad. She can't understand anything that's happening. Why? Because worrying means the laziness of the soul. It means that you're not doing what you should. You have 3 options. First, prayer. Second, fasting. Third, donation. Or not necessarily fasting. You can choose any other asceticism practice. You can simply stand still in a temple for the sake of a loved one. But you must understand, ladies, that in general, a woman can only pray for another person. And if she prays for someone, she also helps herself. You see, a man can pray for his own victory, but a woman cannot pray for her own victory. She prays for the well-being of her loved ones, because a woman lives not for her own happiness, but for the happiness of her loved ones. And a man lives for his own happiness. That's the difference. You say, everyone enjoys nature, right? A man enjoys nature himself, but a woman lives through the beauty of a flower, the happiness of the sun, the happiness of the breeze. That means she feels the happiness of those who live around her, and therefore she lives their life. And a man is simply relaxed. A woman loves flowers in the field, while a man simply rests among them. Do you feel the difference? Happiness of others is a woman's main priority, while a man simply enjoys himself. Therefore, when someone close is suffering, a woman cannot feel normal, but a man can. He says, everything will be fine, don't worry. And a woman says, it won't be, we need to do something. Because she cannot accept the fact of suffering of loved ones. She becomes unhappy herself because her life, her happiness depends on the happiness of her loved ones, for a woman. That's how her psyche is structured. Therefore, a woman always develops by helping other people, and a man develops by overcoming his fate. Remember when a woman's intuition appears? When she leads a pure life, doesn't betray anyone, and second, when she doesn't worry, but simply does what needs to be done to avoid worrying. When a woman doesn't worry and doesn't sin, she becomes insightful and knows everything that will happen in her life and in the lives of her loved ones. The female intelligence has power, and this power of female intelligence is called insight. A woman says, somehow I can't make myself do it. A woman doesn't need to force herself, she gets inspired by other women. And if she says, I can't understand what will happen, well then, excuse me, that's your problem. This means that you worry too much and lead an impure life. A woman can always understand what will happen because she naturally has an intuitive heart. She senses danger, especially concerning her children, her husband, her relatives. This is how her nature works. Now, ladies, look, rule number 1, you say, I want to develop kindness in myself. A woman doesn't develop anything in herself, only a man develops qualities in himself. A woman simply uncovers and purifies what's within her. A woman initially has developed kindness. A woman initially has developed purity. A woman initially has developed compassion. A woman initially has developed intuition. She shouldn't develop anything in herself. She simply purifies herself to this state and doesn't pollute it. And that's why little girls, young girls were protected in the family. From what? From filth. When a woman starts living an impure life, she changes partners one after another. She loses herself. She loses all feminine qualities, kindness, tenderness, beauty. She loses everything because of filth, because she has befouled herself. But when a woman purifies herself, she regains everything, because nothing was lost. A woman has everything from birth. A little girl has everything from birth, kindness, tenderness, beauty, and purity, all at once. She doesn't need to develop anything. A boy, however, needs to develop everything in his life. He doesn't have anything from birth. And that's why he becomes strong, because he trains to win all the time. And a woman doesn't need to be strong, she needs to be pure. And that's where her strength lies. If someone thinks that purity is not strength, then they are a fool. Because there is female strength and there is male strength. For example, a woman says, I bless you, everything will be fine with you. Is this strength or not? Of course it's strength, but it's female strength. A man can also bless, but originally this is female strength. She worries. Why does she worry? She cannot bless because she has no strength. That's why she worries. Like in the song, when my mother saw me off to the army, all my family came running. Oh, where are you going? Oh, where are you going? You shouldn't join the army. The army has enough soldiers, they will manage without you. This represents incorrect thinking. The song goes, the girl sheds tears of joy, her soul sings like a guitar. From her bright eyes, tears fall onto the spear. Soldiers sang this song when they went to battle. Why from her bright eyes? Because even though she's crying, she's strong, she doesn't give up. She sheds tears of joy, not of sorrow. She knows everything will be fine, even though the soldiers are going to war. This means she is strong, it means she believes in God. This is where female strength lies, not in fighting, not in wielding the sword herself, although a woman can wield it too if needed. God gives her such strength too. There was an episode when Muslims were fighting against an enemy, and the Persians had a very strong army that greatly outnumbered the Muslim army. And the Persians broke through the Muslim army and went to the rear. In the rear, women took up swords and began to fight them. And at this moment, when the men saw their wives fighting, they became inspired and defeated the Persians. This is a historical fact. Women can fight too, no problem, but they do it when men can no longer do it. That means that female nature is divine. Women should know this about themselves, that it's not me who is pure and bright, but God endows me with these qualities if I live correctly. Therefore, a woman should strive very hard to live correctly. It's interesting to know how a woman's intelligence works. A woman's intelligence works very powerfully, becomes strongly engaged, when a woman is in the right environment. Remember this. Therefore, a woman's psyche very thoroughly studies and remembers where the right environment is, how to do everything correctly. It's very important for her to know this. She studies all of this very intensely. A man simply wants to learn how to win. Laws are important for him. He needs to understand how everything works. That's how a man lives. But a woman doesn't need to understand how everything works and functions. She needs to understand what is right. And when she understands what is right, she becomes an expert. She manages this environment magnificently. Therefore, in a female team, a boss should fully write out all the work rules, the entire instruction manual, how women should behave in each situation. They will handle their duties excellently, better than men, but when an extraordinary situation occurs, a man is needed. Because a man deals well with something new. For a woman to swim somewhere, she first needs to learn how to swim and then swim. But a man doesn't need to be taught how to swim. He won't learn anyway. He needs to be thrown into the water. Maybe where it's not too deep, then he will learn. Do you see the difference or not? If you just throw a woman into the water, she will panic and won't go back into water anymore at all. She needs to be taught how to swim first, and she really loves studying instructions. She studies first and then swims. When she knows how to swim, she won't swim any other way. But if a man learns to swim in a certain way, he will definitely try to do it differently. Why? He needs to learn differently. It's not interesting for him otherwise. A woman is interested in swimming correctly. A man says, "You're not swimming correctly." A woman responds, "I swim how I want to." Do you feel the difference in female and male thinking? A man strives for the unknown, so how does a boy develop? He always goes where he shouldn't. This is how he develops. He absolutely needs to learn his lesson. So the idea is, for example, a fan is spinning, a boy sticks his finger in there, a very small boy, less than a year old, and he keeps trying to reach that fan. You can't do anything about it because he needs to gain experience. You need to unplug the fan, its power becomes weak, and tell him, "Go ahead, try it." He comes up, sticks his finger in, gets hit on the finger, but doesn't break it because the fan is already stopping. It hurts him. He cries and doesn't go near the fan anymore because he got the experience, that's it. A girl will never do this, never in her life. If you tell her, "The fan hurts when it hits your finger," and she will never go near it, that's enough for her. But telling this to a boy is like saying nothing at all. For him, it's very important to actually stick his finger in there. Because otherwise he doesn't develop, he needs experience. A boy develops through experience, while a girl develops through instructions. A girl cannot be like a boy, I repeat it again. A little girl just hasn't understood yet that she's a girl. That's why she might behave like a boy. She has just entered a female body, and she's only getting used to it. Many girls have told me that at 7 they were fearless, but at 9 became very timid. At 7 years old I could jump from the first floor without any problems, but at 9 I was already afraid. Why? Because she has already understood that she's in a female body. This also depends on hormonal functions. That means that when the hormonal system becomes activated, then a woman fully realizes she's in a female body, and before that moment, not so much. Why does a woman behave roughly? Because she's not occupied as a woman. That's it, there's no other reason. When she becomes occupied as a woman, she'll immediately become gentle, soft, and tender. Because her natural functions start working and she develops immediately. Is that clear or not? Sitting and blaming yourself, "I'm not tender, I'm not gentle, this is not a solution, life will pass this way, and nothing will change." A woman has a right option and a wrong option. The right option is to do something useful for everyone, to care for everyone. You say, "I don't have the strength to care." Again, I repeat, don't look for strength to care within yourself. You need to find the strength to call a friend and complain that you can't care. And she will say, "I can't either, let's do it together." And that's it. Do you understand, ladies? You say, "I don't have the strength to wake up early." It's the wrong option. "I don't have the strength to cook." Wrong option. If you have no strength to cook, call a friend and tell her, "I can't cook, I have no strength." She says, "I can't either, I have no strength either, let's do it together." And they start cooking. Why? Because women gain strength from relationships. Did you hear or not? Try to do it this way and you'll see how easy everything becomes for you to do. A woman's willpower has a collective nature, not an individual one. You see, a woman has a very, very vulnerable and sensitive psyche, and everything always irritates a woman. Whether others are irritated or I'm irritated, it doesn't matter. Raise your hand, those women who are never irritated by anything. Here, a little girl raised her hand. I agree. That's it. I accept. So here's the thing. Know that to avoid being irritated, you need to do something useful. If you're depressed, it means you need to do something useful. If you're irritated, do something useful. If you're in a bad mood, do something useful. If you're worried, give donations, do asceticism practice, and pray. You should understand, ladies, there is correct female thinking and incorrect female thinking. Correct female thinking is always to seek refuge in women and in collective female power. Incorrect thinking is to wait and stay melancholic. That's it. So make your choice. A woman should be active in relationships with women. Remember, women get strength only from other women, not from children, not from husbands. Women don't get strength from them. They spend their energy on them. Women get strength only from God and from other women. From plants too, it's all God. There's nature, there are good people, there's a temple, there are friends. It's all given by God. This is where women get their strength from. You understand? That's why women should socialize. Oh, my neighbor is bad, the country is bad. And then she goes on gossiping about everyone. This kind of talk is not needed. Instead, the talk should be like this. Let's do it together. Let's get inspired to do this. Have you done this? No. Let's do it together. Women should communicate to inspire each other. Let's go to the lectures. Who did you inspire to come to the lecture today?
Whenever I call, my friend is at work.
She's at work. Don't worry, you'll gradually inspire her. Just now you didn't have enough strength. You didn't have enough strength to inspire her.
When you make donations, don't you take on their problems?
No.
I made a donation and found out that I took on their problems.
This is very important. She says, I made a donation. Then I found out that I was taking on the problems of the person I was donating to, and I stopped. My dear ladies, it's a great question. Great. Please, learn not to listen to everyone indiscriminately. Please, I'm asking you, learn not to listen to everyone.
He said this was from the scriptures.
You know, nowadays, many fraudsters claim they're speaking from the scriptures. I chose the right word. Exactly, fraudsters. You see, they say they're speaking from the scriptures. They come, showing off, and start pushing their own agenda. Learn to understand people. Learn to understand who to listen to and who not to. A person who gives donations can never take anything bad. It's exactly like a bee flying to a flower. It only takes love from it. It never takes anything bad from it. Nectar and pollen are love. Similarly, a person who gives something to another person with a kind heart will never take anything bad from them.
The giving hand will never be empty.
Yes, you can say it that way too. Of course, you should understand, my dears, everything depends on where your donations go. It's better not to donate money, but to donate food. Where does food always go? Into the mouth. That's what it's meant for. Wishing happiness to everyone, that's a good donation. But if you give money and this person drinks it away, then excuse me, that's your mistake. Therefore, don't give money, give food instead. If you gave money and they drank it away, it doesn't mean that their bad qualities will transfer to you. It means that you made a wrong action yourself and will be responsible for it. This is your wrong action, not theirs.
Why do we need to discuss this?
Lady, this is a very important topic. Learn to feel with your heart who to listen to and who not to, because your life changes significantly depending on who you listen to. It changes significantly. And that's why a husband is very afraid when you go to lectures. He is afraid for a reason. A woman can listen to such things, oh dear. A woman's heart is very open. It doesn't immediately notice what's wrong. One woman came to me and said, Dr. Torsunov, such a misfortune happened to me. And to prevent such misfortune from happening, women should understand who is senior and who is not. She told me this story. She tells me, I had a mentor. He was giving me guidance. Everything was fine. When we went on a pilgrimage to holy places, somehow it happened that we ended up in bed together. I didn't even realize in time what was happening, and then I cheated on my husband. Ladies, now listen. If a senior looks at you as a woman, he is not a mentor. A senior can only look at you as a daughter. He cannot look at you as a woman. He shouldn't admire your beauty. This is one small example. Do you understand, ladies, who is senior and who is not? Can a man be senior? Yes, he can. It's better for a woman to develop a close relationship with a senior woman, not with a man. Close relationship means to communicate frequently. A man can give guidance in general, but a woman should receive communication from women, preferably from a senior woman, not from a man.
But sometimes communication with women doesn't go well.
They're jealous. Ladies, when you communicate with women, you are filling up with strength during this time. Or when you go to a temple, you fill up with strength. A man always envies this process of a woman gaining strength. He wants her to always give away her strength. This is male nature. That's how male greed works. You still need to fill up with strength, but there is a proper way for this. You need to take care of your husband well enough and punish him well enough if he gets too brazen. How to punish a husband? Ladies, I'll explain to you now. Everyone suddenly got interested. Now I'll explain how to punish a husband. It's very simple. First, you need to understand the system. All family life is built around love. The energy of love comes from the woman. Without love, there is no life. The only thing a woman should know, she must constantly fill her husband with love. Not allow anyone else to fill him with love except her own.
And who can fill him?
Anyone. Girlfriends, mother, everyone. Is it good for a woman to worry about this? What are you doing right now? Even intuition is gone. You say you're not worried. You are worried. Calm down. Yes, calm down. Listen now. So ladies, it's very important to know that if you don't fill your husband with your love, you won't be able to punish him. On the other hand, if you constantly fill your husband with love, it's very simple to punish him. You just need to turn off the tap. How to turn off the tap? The tap is turned off through silence, distancing, and so on. Not through stopping cooking for him or cleaning. That's not fair. You understand? He doesn't stop working after all. He can't stop working and stop bringing salary. Therefore, stopping cooking and cleaning is an unfair way of punishment. But withholding from an intimate relationship and withholding your smiles is honest and the most powerful way. Know that when a man is being punished, he will fight until the end, so a woman must wait. And since a woman's patience in relationships is 6 times stronger than a man's, he has no chance of winning. A woman just needs to know all these stages. The first stage, the man threatens. For example, if you punish him by not talking to him, he starts threatening you. He says, "What, you don't want to kiss me? I'll go to someone else." Don't respond. Just continue the punishment. So the first stage, threatening. The second stage, he starts buttering you up. Don't pay attention to it. He's not really sorry yet. You might think, "Oh, he's buttering me up, so he must have realized." No, it's just a tactic. The third stage is like in the song, "What happened to you again? Perhaps I'm to blame." The man starts doubting himself. He approaches you and says, "Let's talk. What's wrong? Everything seems fine." At this moment, ladies, if you want to help your husband, never pour dirt on him when he's surrendered. Instead, when he's ready to talk, approach him and say, "My dear, please try not to do this again." Not like, "Don't do this anymore, got it?" But rather, "Please try not to do this, it's not good, and I will always react like this if you behave that way." He'll likely say, "Okay, I'll think about it." Don't expect him to understand everything right away. Men need time, a lot of time. Women understand things instantly. But if he's taking steps forward, be patient. He'll get it eventually, and once he does, he won't act that way again. A woman might act one way or another depending on her strength, but a man, once he understands, will consistently act correctly. So wait. Now, the second method of punishing your husband. This method works if you have established connections. For example, when the situation is quite bad, when you're managing fine on your own, it's okay. But if the situation is very bad, he's decided to leave or is behaving terribly. Then you start calling your friends, confiding in your girlfriend's acquaintances or even his parents, and everyone starts calling him saying, "Yeah, what are you doing to your wife?" And he replies, "Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing." But deep down he starts thinking about his actions. The third method is a last resort when a woman moves out to live with her mom or somewhere else. But she doesn't leave him. She says, "I just can't anymore. I need a break." And it's true because women are like capacitors. They accumulate, and then snap. They want to return but physically can't. They need a few months to recover. You understand? Women, don't let it come to this. If you feel your husband is crossing the line, you need to isolate yourself from him for a while so he can come to his senses. A man can't understand he's wrong immediately. He needs time, and time spent in isolation. Isolating yourself from the relationship is the ultimate punishment for women. Now let me tell you a story. One woman told me, "Dr. Torsunov, I used the ultimate punishment. I isolated myself, went to my mom's, and 2 weeks passed." The man also listened to my lectures, and when she called him, he said, "Listen, why don't you isolate yourself for another 2 weeks? I'm having such a great time without you." What happened in this case? She had nagged him so much that when she left to isolate herself, it felt like a vacation for him. To isolate yourself effectively, you need to serve your partner. That's why I say if you don't serve, you don't have the tools to punish. Care for the person, serve them. If they overstep, pull back. If they push their limits, call their mom, friends, and acquaintances. He will agree with it because he sees your care, and his heart will inevitably be grateful. Because if you serve your loved one, they cannot remain ungrateful. They might overstep boundaries, but their heart will always hold gratitude, not from them, but from God. And God will whisper in his heart, be grateful. Sometimes it's very hard for a person to feel gratitude, and this capacitor has to burst. The wife leaves and says, I'm going to live separately. And then something clicks for him. He says, I love you. Please forgive me. I've behaved poorly. Understand? At this moment, if he's completely out of control, you need to set conditions, ladies. How to educate your husband. Write a list of what you want to be done. He will 100% promise to fulfill every point, but he won't. He will, however, start fulfilling some of it for a while before slipping back. And when he slips up, you need to leave again, return to your mom's and leave the list once more. This back and forth might happen a few times, but eventually he'll fulfill it. If you expect him to fulfill everything at once, that's impossible. If the list is too demanding, you'll only ruin your life with it. Only write down what's extreme. For instance, no hitting or no cheating. But if you want him to always be affectionate, always bring flowers, or always earn a high salary, sorry, only God can do all that. Men aren't always capable of such things. Got it? How to punish a man. How to motivate what? To hang a shelf? All right, I'll explain, ladies. You need to understand how a man's psyche works. It's not that he's against hanging the shelf, it's just that he doesn't have the time. Understand? Doesn't have time means his mind is deeply focused on one specific thing. He might look at you and seem to listen, but he doesn't really hear you. You need to understand that his psyche operates differently. There are several steps to get him to hear you. For example, a man is watching hockey. Step 1, sit next to him and start watching hockey too. Then begin discussing how Fetisov or someone else is playing. He'll immediately start engaging, saying, yes, I agree, that player is good, you're great, you understand hockey. He's now engaging with you. Then shift the conversation to a personal level. Look at him and say, you'd play better. At that moment, he disconnects from hockey and looks at you. At the exact moment he looks at you thinking, why would I play better? You say, it's time to eat. Kindly, let's go eat. And when you say this, he might try to refocus on the hockey game. But at that moment, when you say, let's go eat, you must gently pull his hand. Then he'll follow you. But he'll still want to watch hockey. Only after taking a few steps will he realize that it's time to eat. That's how the psyche works. Now I'll tell you how my wife taught me to turn off the light in the bathroom. Women always seem to have some sort of campaign in the family depending on what they've learned. For example, she learned that leaving the light on means wasting money because it's not saving God's energy, and I became the target. She has no problem turning off the light, but I'm always focused on life's goals and forget about the bathroom entirely. I didn't even realize I wasn't turning off the light in the bathroom. Turns out my wife was always the one doing it. So I agreed. I'm a nice person after all. I said, of course I'll start turning off the light in the bathroom. Then I left the bathroom and she said, go back. I asked, why? She said, you didn't turn off the light. Turn it off. I thought, I have work to do and here's this light. I went back and turned it off. And this repeated many times. Then one fine day I walked out of the bathroom, heard a voice in my head, go turn off the light. And I thought, I forgot to turn it off. I approached the bathroom and saw the light was already off. Did you turn off the light? She says, no. So I must have turned it off automatically. And after that, I always turned off the light, even though I didn't remember doing it. Previously, I wouldn't turn it off because I wouldn't remember. Now I don't remember either, but I turn it off. That's the difference. Expecting a man to always remember to turn off the light, that's insanity. It's the same with shoes, socks, and clothes that need to go somewhere. These things happen because a woman repeats it many times, kindly, always kindly. But ladies, there's one special time when a man is fully tuned into you, 100%. It's 5 minutes after a meal. Once he's eaten, wait until he leans back, relaxed. Those 5 minutes are all yours. During this time, speak kindly. Be gentle and bring up whatever you want to discuss with him. You can talk to him then, and he will respond. Those 5 minutes after a meal, that's your golden window. Any other tricks? Well, if he really wants something from you, that's also a good time to talk. All right, we're out of time. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.